Good afternoon, judges, guests, and friends. Today I will be presenting about the sculpture, The Young Family, by Patricia Piccinini. Now, take a look at the sculpture and describe your very first instinctive feeling of it. Shocking? Squeamish? Throughout the people I've met who have seen the works of Patricia Piccinini, their reactions vary largely. For some, they say it was the most interesting exhibit of artworks that they have ever seen. For others, it gave them long-term psychological trauma. So which do you classify yourself as? Let's see. To give a brief description, The Young Family is a sculpture depicting a family of uncannily humanoid creatures. Seemingly a mix between pigs and humans, with a parental figure within the group laying on its side and breastfeeding its 4 younglings. The creatures appear almost hairless, other than the regions on their arms, face, and back, and are otherwise covered in loose, wrinkled skin. Upon closer look, one can see veins and other fatty tissue running below the skin, giving the sculpture a lifelike, hyper-realistic, and fleshy appearance. Certain features of these organisms bear more resemblance to pigs than humans. For example, their faces. Unlike the relatively flat ones of humans, they bear snouts similar to pigs. The ears are large and floppy, and the location of the motherly figure's breasts are located down her abdomen alongside her chest. This sculpture was made in 2002 by Australian artist Patricia Piccinini, consisting of silicone, fiberglass, human hair, leather, and plywood, and is about 150 centimeters long, 120 centimeters wide, and 85 centimeters tall. Now, who is Patricia Piccinini, and why did she make such a fascinating sculpture? Piccinini was born in Freetown, Sierra Leone, in 1965. She moved to Australia in 1972, eventually pursuing painting in Victorian College of the Arts, graduating in 1991 with a bachelor's degree in painting. Her art studies focuses on the connections between humans and nature, and how technology is changing both subjects. As biotechnology advances, alterations to a living organism's body are more and more easily made. From transplants of organs to the insertion of machinery into the human body to genetic editing. Such capabilities of biotechnologies are starting to cause concerns about bioethical issues such as playing God, defying nature and changing the image of the human body, and issues such as humane treatments towards animals. Patricia Piccinini's speculative future of biotechnology, shown in her artworks, provides a platform for much discussion about such topics. Now, in her artworks, what makes them so striking is the extraordinary use of juxtaposition. It is subtle, yet extremely effective. Remember the sense of beauty and disgust I talked about in the beginning. Here's where it comes from. Why the unease when looking at these works? I reckon it is from the innate emotional reaction built in us human when we view something barely human and barely not. Can you guess what it is? You are probably wrong. It is the uncanny valley. This concept was discovered by robotics professor Masahiro Mori in 1970, describing the reason why us humans feel uncomfortable or afraid around things or even people that imperfectly resemble the typical human being we all know. Or at least a part of them. Something just feels a bit off. Maybe the eyes are slightly misplaced. Is it smiling strangely? Is it movement peculiar? Many of Piccinini's sculptures have an unnatural resemblance to the human image we all know. This is a huge reason to what packs the shock factor behind each work, like this one, The Young Family. While it's uncomfortable to view for some, Piccinini cushions the impact with something we all humans relate to: emotional connections. This I will be talking about in a moment. Piccinini's sculpture, The Young Family, comments on the ethical implications of a scientific breakthrough that hearts of pigs can be used as donor organs for human heart transplants. It serves as a space for various discussion of this topic. According to Piccinini, the creatures in the sculpture are genetically modified pigs, edited to bear more characteristics of the human body, in an attempt to create more similarity in the anatomy of both humans and pigs. By heightening the likeness of the two separate species, there will be a higher chance of a successful heart transplant, having a pig's heart function exactly like that of a human heart. These pigs are bred for the sole reason of the harvesting of their hearts as organ donors. It is a scientific breakthrough, one that will save thousands upon thousands of lives in healthcare. While the look of the family can be said to look somewhat strange and grotesque, one can undeniably feel the emotional side of the scene too. This is the part of the emotional connection I was mentioning earlier. The mother of the 4 babies look upon them with gentleness, some kind of happiness and fulfillment in her human-like eyes. But little be it known to her, her offspring are raised just for them to perish not long after. Right in the moment, all she knows is that she is taking care of her wonderful offspring. And it can be seen in the peacefulness of the suckling baby's faces and the one that is playfully rolling on its back, that they are content being in the presence of their mother. There is not only a connection between the subjects in the sculpture, but also a connection between the viewer and the sculpture, as we humans, too, relate to the connections within a family. This creates the juxtaposition that evokes a sense of fascinating beauty and uneasiness when viewing this work. So one of the questions posed by the work is, at what point is a living organism still considered an animal or human? Take these pigs, for example. They have been genetically modified with the DNA of Homo sapiens, meaning a large part of their genes are, well, that of humans. So are they still pigs with human characteristics, or does it make them humans with pig characteristics? This leads to the second question. Would it be ethical to breed such man-like creatures just to slaughter them for their hearts? Would you accept the fact that someone would be in need of such a heart transplant, therefore trading the life of this beautiful creature for their own with its own flesh? If you are in the position of needing a heart for a transplant, be it for yourself or your children, would you put an end to one of the babies in the scene at any stage of its life, just so you or your own child can survive? While the first question remains open for debate, the second question harness varied answers, but most of them would say yes. Yes, they would. If ever put in a situation that their children or them need a new heart, they would put down one of the pigs for their hearts. Even Piccinini says so. In my response to this question posed, I'd also say yes, but with the philosophy that I value my own life before others, and the assumption that these creatures are still pigs and not humans. Now, outside the mentioned points of view above, I would like to pose yet another question in response to the work. Would this genetically engineering and organ harvesting process then put a price tag on the organ? When one donates their heart after death, they donate it without a charge, and the main cost of the transplant is the surgery itself. But let's say a corporate research company owns the entire process of breeding these pigs and the organ harvest. Would they still donate each heart willfully, like the deceased human donors or the family of the donors? Or would they charge each heart with a certain sum of money? Well, such technology could definitely relieve the huge pressure of finding a fitting heart from a suitable donor in record time off the shoulder of medical teams. They now face the sticky situation and risks of questionable acts done in the name of capitalism. Sounds familiar? If you kept up with the news in the medical realm. In 2015, Martin Shkreli, co-founder of pharmaceutical company Daraprim, raised the price of a life-saving drug by 5,455% its original price, from $13.50 USD to $750 US per pill, which would make the affordability a headache to many who are in dire need of such a drug. Would such a thing happen to the selling of hearts, if so, if not carefully scrutinized by a fair government? Would the prices of getting a heart skyrocket for the recipients just because the company processing them wants to swim in amounts of cash raked from such a life-saving procedure? Would healthcare become something only the wealthy can afford once again? This adds on to the ethical implications, not only to animal or human rights, but also basic human decency. In conclusion, the sculpture of the young family prompts many new thoughts and perspectives about ourselves, the nature of living organisms, and technology to arise, which can be widely expanded to many other topics as well. It is definitely worth a thought, don't you think? I'll leave my presentations off here. Thank you for listening.